The uproar continues and well into the night. So far, President Mohamed Morsi hasn't managed to quell the anger surrounding his constitutional declaration. Protesters accused him of carrying out the Muslim Brotherhood's agenda, and some went as far as calling for the Egyptian leader to step down. Now some lawyers have joined the chorus of dissent, calling for the fall of the regime and questioning the right of the president to issue such a decree in the first place.
This declaration is void and obsolete. It has no legal or constitutional basis. There has never been such a decree in Egyptian history since the pharaohs.
The text essentially allows the president to issue laws and decrees with impunity when it comes to, quote, acts of sovereignty. But what does that mean?
They have always been immune from judicial oversight. They are acts that are seen to be within the purview of the president, like matters of deciding whether or not to sign an international treaty, deciding whether or not to enter reservations on a treaty, diplomatic affairs, national security. It has been expanded over the years to also include matters related to the division of powers within the government.
The Egyptian president has also positioned himself as the guarantor of last year's revolution by issuing a law he says would protect the revolution and its gains. But the opposition says it's just a revised version of the emergency law that enabled former President Hosni Mubarak's firm grip on power for 30 years. The president and his supporters have been trying to convince the opposition that these are temporary measures that will be revoked once the country comes out of this tumultuous transitional period. But the opposition says that the declaration comes at a critical time when the constitution is being written and for a purpose. Liberals and seculars have pulled out of the Constituent Assembly and want the courts to dissolve it for the second time in less than 6 months. They fear the dominance of religious parties within the 100-members body. But Morsi supporters deny accusations that the president wants to hold all powers and say he was left with no other choice.
For this constitutional declaration, he has set his mind to protect the revolution of Egypt. This president was being blamed for not being fast enough, for not being stern enough, for not being strong enough in opposing the deep pockets of the state. He acted upon it now, and he showed enough courage and enough will to actually create this cementing process. Right now, if this president was out to grab more power, he wouldn't have protected the Constitutional Assembly that by design is stripping him from over 60% of his power.
So far, the net result of the presidential decree is deeper divisions between the two sides, which have traditionally been very suspicious of each other, with no common ground in sight. Hoda Abdel-Hamid, Al Jazeera, Cairo.